Now, I'm going to show you how to add a file and commit that. So and in the process, I'll also show you how Netbeans can help in finding the location of that scanner class that you're going to be using in the next assignment. So let's create a new Java main class. Now, you may not be able to find Java main class in the pop-up. If that's the case, then if you just hit Other, choose Java, and then if you scroll down a bit, you will see the Java main class. Okay, so this scanner is a very useful little thing. I don't need these things. I should fix that at some point. Okay, so and then make sure you have a little Java doc comment or something. A simple illustration. Simple. I can't type this afternoon. Okay. So now, one of the things that I like to do is make sure that each line of the code is kind of its own thing. One of the important things to understand is the difference between declaring a variable and setting the variable. So I like to do that in two separate steps. So the first is to simply define a variable. It's called I'll call it scanner with a lowercase, but the type is scanner with an uppercase. Make sure you understand the difference. Now, notice that Netbeans is complaining. It says it cannot find the symbol. The symbol is class scanner. This is what's known as the red squiggly of death, because the program simply will not run if that's the case. And if there's a syntax error and the compiler just says, again, this is unlike scripting languages that will kind of run and then bomb out when you hit an error. Compiled languages, they just won't even let you get to first base until everything is syntactically correct. So what do you do for this? Now, there are two possibilities. One is you just happen to know where the scanner class is located. That's a lot to try to keep in mind. Netbeans is a real helper on this. So here's what you do when you see a class not found like this. Can't find symbol. Just right-click anywhere in the editing window and scroll down to Fix Imports. And what that will do, notice what it added something called an import statement. And what that is, basically it found the class scanner and now no red squiggly, and allows us to simply declare the file. Now it will run. Of course, it's not going to do anything yet because we haven't done anything yet. Okay, so now we will talk about what this import statement is all about. It is one of the worst named things in all of Java, and it is badly named because the import statement does not import anything. So nothing is being imported. That's why is it called import? Well, I guess to give it a name that would adequately describe it would be too long, so they just chose import. But again, understand import doesn't import anything. When we talk more about the import statement, we'll go into that. Now, this is something that you should have at least encountered to a certain extent, that is instantiating something. We're using a new keyword. Now, one of the nice things about Netbeans is, notice I put my cursor inside the parentheses, and if I hit Control Space, then what that brings up is all the possibilities. So we see that the scanner has many different options that can be put in here. I can put a file in. I can put an input stream. That's what I'm actually going to be putting in. I can put a path, one of these, whatever the heck these things are. So, and just in general, whenever we're trying to do something, a lot of times if you hit control space, that will give you some options like this. In this particular case, as the way the book does, we're going to use this system in thing. And system in fact, if you can see in the little pop-up here, we can see that in is in this system thing, and we see that it's a public static final, meaning that it's a constant. So basically the input stream is where things are going to be read from the console. So let's try this out. Let's write a prompt, and we'll use print for the prompt. And let's define our variable here. So we'll need a string for our name. I'll define it here, but I'll assign it down here. Now, this is another place where a scanner has a number of next blah, blah, blah. Just a plain old next will give us the next string that's there. If we want the whole thing, we can get the next line. Actually, if we're going to have next line might be a slightly better one. And let's just reflect what we did. So, all right, so what happens when we run this? Okay, what is your name? And we just says hello. Okay, now what else can we do? Let's read in something else. Need a semicolon. Now, as you saw, if we say next int, then it will read in the next integer and expect it to be an integer. Oh, and let's okay, and then okay, so now what do we have? Our name. How old are you? Okay. All right, so let's tell you what, let's put all these together just to be a little bit more. Now, here's another little Netbeans helper thing. Now notice that when I was moving things around, all of a sudden this got out of whack here. Now, what you can do is I can just sort of hit backspace until it's there, but I'm too lazy to do that. What instead I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and select format. And what that's going to do is that's going to put all this formatting in a nice way. So like if the brackets kind of get a little wonky, you see Java doesn't mind. And if these are all kind of in different places, I have extra space here or extra things going on, I can get rid of all of that just by a right-click format. Again, the spaces are gone, the extra spaces, and everything is nice and formatted. Okay, that's just another little trick here. So now the other thing is that we can actually read in Booleans. And so let's say oops, scanner next Boolean. Okay, so now when we run it, okay, what's your name? How old are you? Is that really true? Well, not really. So it was able to handle the Boolean. Now, one little gotcha here is that you don't know. Okay, so what if I said, what if I gave that? Now, can you predict what's going to happen? Well, let's look at the code on this. So I have an int age, and scanner next int is going to produce an int, at least it's supposed to, and then try to stuff it into age. But what happens when scanner tries to read an int that I've given it as a floating point number? What happens is I get an input mismatch exception. We're going to talk about exceptions later in the course, but for now, just know that when you get red stuff like this together with the blue links, that usually is a bad thing. Meaning, in this particular case, I was trying to take a floating point number, and scanner next int just said, no, yeah, you said you were going to read an int, and you gave me a floating point number, and that was not cool. That's also true if I try to give it a string. Okay, again, input mismatch exception. See, it wanted an integer, I gave it a string. Instead, this, okay, let's try this. Is that really true? Well, not really either, but okay. All right, so now notice that the scanner test name is in green because it is new. And while we're at it, let's just add, so because typically on any session, editing session, we're going to either be adding or modifying more than one file. And we want to check and make sure that it's, doing the right thing. Okay, so now hello world is blue, that's changed. Scanner test is green, that is added. So what do? We commit first, so git commit. Okay, so we commit that. And then once it's locally committed, it turns black again. So that means that we are in sync locally, but that does not mean we're in sync with our GitLab. So again, if we go here, we refresh, it's still the old one. And we see, again, here, even refreshed, we see only the hello world. We don't see the file that we've added. So in order to add it, we right-click at the top of the project, git remote push. We go through the same sequence as before, master to master, master to master, finish up. And now, when we refresh, we see that here is our scanner test. So what we have done is we have modified files, added files, committed locally, and pushed to GitLab.